LabCoatAgents. My name is Jason Martin. I'm one of the newer moderators. So for those of you out there who I don't know yet, I look forward to getting to know you. But today I am super excited and very curious to talk to Gus Muñoz Castro with PowerISA. And we're going to talk about how to hire and train your own ISA. And I know that we talked about $4. We're going to get to that. Like $4. What are you talking about? $4. We'll figure that out in a little bit. But welcome, Gus. How you doing today?
Hey, doing great. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate that. Happy to be here with you guys.
We're looking forward to it. And you and I were talking just before we went live here. If you're cool with it, I'm just going to ask you the basics just in case folks out there are kind of scratching their head. I think we'll cover all grounds if you have ISAs or if you're like me and do not have an ISA. I've got a team of 15 here in Washington, D.C., and we don't have an ISA. So tell me the basics. Let me start right there. Who uses an ISA? Why would I hire an ISA? Just basics right off the jump.
Oh, that's a great question, Jason. And that's something, I answer that question. I talk to folks that are having that question pretty much every single day. So there's a few scenarios where I think that an ISA makes a lot of sense for teams. It shouldn't be your first hire as an agent. Let me just say that, for the folks, the solo agents out there, folks, this is not, I'm not talking about you guys. This is, as an agent, you should follow the model. Get that administrative help first, get the transaction coordinator first, figure out lead generation, figure out which kind of lead generation kind of lends itself more to your skill set, right? So I think those are bigger questions. Those are more important questions because an ISA is supposed to plug into a system, Jason, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always kind of concerned when folks, I need an ISA. What are they going to do? Well, I don't know. People have ISAs and they get a lot of deals. Like, no. You're going around it kind of the wrong way. Is your business prospecting based, for example, right? If your business is prospecting based, you get on the phone and you pound the phone to get deals, to get listings, to find folks, the FISBOs, the expireds, the circle prospecting. If your business is prospecting based, an ISA makes a ton of sense, Jason. Like a ton of sense, because they can augment your ability to call more numbers, dial more numbers, talk to more people, follow up with those folks that are already in your pipeline. If anyone on the call has ever done any kind of cold calling, the one call close doesn't really exist, folks. It doesn't, right? It's a follow-up game with these expires and FISBOs and even the circle prospect, especially the circle prospecting folks. It's going to take a while to follow up with them and close them. An ISA makes sense for that because ISAs can be great in an outbound prospecting role. It's probably where how people refer to ISAs. They relate them to an outbound prospecting role, right? Talking to cold lists, trying to convert them, trying to get them to the door. If, for example, you're looking for motivated sellers in this market, unbelievably hot market to find those motivated sellers in the really hot markets like the Austin, Texas, Miami, Florida, Atlanta, where there's a lot of folks doing renovations, flicks and flips and all those things because the market's so hot there. You've got investors that have ISAs, teams of ISAs, not just individual ISAs, teams of ISAs, because their business is prospecting based. They're going out there and they're reaching these really targeted lists. They're not cold calling a neighborhood. They're not. They have a list of folks that they won't know that they might be thinking of selling. They're going to be in the right condition, and they want to make them an offer. And they want to buy that property.
Let's pause there because I think there's a very important point that you make right off the jump, and it's a very targeted. It's a very targeted call. You're not just jumping in. All of a sudden, you're going to be prospecting based. So you're thinking along the lines of, okay, what neighborhood do you work in? Who would you like to call? And that advanced questions that are helpful that if you haven't thought about prior to hiring an ISA, think about the questions first, correct?
100%. It's important. How does an ISA fit within your existing model? And maybe it's something new for you. And that's fair too. So for example, when people work with us and we launch in a campaign with PowerISA, that's a required part of the process. You have to go through an onboarding process. You go with, and you have to create an SOP. You have to make sure that your campaign makes sense to even launch, right? That's become a key part of the process. And that's something I recommend everyone do, whether they're working with us or not. An ISA has to come in and have to fit on your team. It has to make sense to add that manpower to increase leverage for your lead generation. and understand where do your leads come from. If you're prospecting based, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. It's a great addition.
It's not a cold plug and play. That's not what you're talking about here. Like
Correct.
just plug in and turn them on and start calling and follow this and it's going to work. You're taking it to the next level. How much time, we'll get into the training in a second, but the question that comes to my mind, if I were to grab an ISA and work with your company and I understand what my skill sets are and where our leads come from, and how much time would it take you to train somebody like me?
Oh, so we typically, for like new campaigns that we got an ISA with a company, typically we're going to be launching within 3 to 4 weeks, right? And that's going to include the onboarding process, getting your company and your team ready to go with an ISA, getting an ISA ready and trained to go into your campaign. It's both sides, right? We're training two set of folks, and it can be faster than that. It can be faster than 3 or 4 weeks, but 3 to 4 weeks is typical, Jason, because that's how long it takes, right? And again, agents are busy people. I mean, it's like, we can't just like turn on a dime and get all this information from them immediately. We got to follow up. We got to make sure we have a launch call. We get all the information we need. They get to meet and greet the ISA, and we have a team within the company now that handles these onboardings, because it's a high touch process, especially at the very start. But I think 3 to 4 weeks is adequate. It's typical. It can be as fast as 2 weeks, but typically it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks.
So 3 to 4 weeks, and you're putting it out there on the front end. It's a long-term game. And that's important for folks to know that are thinking about adding. What types of teams? Who's using you guys? Give me some data if you can. Like why? Like who's having great success with it? And what are your clients most excited about? How many ISAs do most of your clients hire? It seems like those who get it figured out never have just one, by the way.
Correct.
So am I making assumptions there, or is that accurate?
No, that's very accurate, Jason, 100%. So I would say the majority of our clients split into about 3 different groups. Number one, it's going to be retail real estate agents and teams that have that lead generation piece figured out, and they want to add leverage into it. They want to add leverage to their lead generation process. And that can be folks that are doing outbound prospecting for retail real estate, folks that are doing inbound leads or purchasing a lot of inbound leads. That's another type of lead generation. Again, you might be killing it with the inbound leads. That's great. You're purchasing leads from Facebook, from Google, from Ylopo, from Zillow, from anything and everything. Those leads, for people that know how to convert them, it's a grind. It is not easy to do, right? You really got to work those leads to get to that 1%, 2% conversion rate, which can be typical for especially some of those top of funnel kind of lead sources like a Facebook, like a Google. You really got to work them to get to that 1%, 2%, 3%. I think people that do it at the highest level in the industry can go above that 2 or 3%, right? I've heard people doing 4%, 5%, 6%, but they've got the tools, the process in place. One of those tools is an ISA. That role can really make sure that you leave no lead is left behind. Nothing is left on the table. You're going to convert those really hot leads at the beginning, at the front end. Agents are great at that. Those really hot leads that come in, you can get those. The other 95% of the leads that are not going to convert right away, what kind of process do you have for those? Oh, I'm going to put them on a search. They're going to get automatic listings whenever they're out there. Well, that might not be enough. First of all, there might not be enough listings in your market to make that even attractive. And you got to follow up and check in with them to see where they're at. And it's got to be text, and it's got to be phone calls. Yes, email too. When you're nurturing someone longer term, email is great. But you got to have all of these channels working, because that's the only way you're going to get to that 5x return, 10x return from these lead sources. Otherwise, you got no chance to really make an impact with the online leads. But that's a huge segment of our business, are people that have big spends on Facebook, on Google, on the portals. They want to make sure they're getting the most out of it. Another segment in that same vein, agents that have massive databases, right? And people that have like a large Met database, can be 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people in that database, people they've actually met. And you add on top of that their old internet leads. Some agents and some small teams have databases that are 10, 15,000 numbers in there, right? So if you have a database that size, you've got to be dialing it every single day, right? You've got to be, even if you're checking in with people once a year or twice a year, 3 times a year, you're busy calling every single day. So ISAs jump into that. In fact, one of the campaigns we just launched a couple months ago out of Seattle, Washington, 30,000 number database.
Wow.
And ISA started calling it from day one, 55 appointments in 60 days. 55 appointments in 60 days. because they had the database. This is not, it's not like magical. Oh my God, how they do it? They got the right person hitting the database every single day, all day.
So the question is, how they build that database? Like, where did that database come from?
So this person's kind of unique, very sociable person. C-Rail team out of Seattle, Washington. I think half of those are actually Met database, if you can imagine that. I mean, it's just like this guy runs a lot of, networking groups, very popular person in that part of, just amazing real estate agent. But half of them are internet leads. They bought at some point off of Facebook, off of Google, off of the portals, and they just accumulated. I've never seen a database as large as that has such a large chunk of Met people. But typically it's going to be 80-20, 20% is going to be the Met database, 80-90% is going to be internet leads. But I think the important thing is the point is you got to work it, right? You got if your database is 1,000 people, you still got to work that. If your database is, when I was an active agent, my database was 300 people, and that generated 25 to 30 transactions for me every single year because I called it, right? That's why I don't want to say I didn't fall in love with the phone. It was always hard to make those calls. But it was a great use of my time making those phone calls.
So to simplify it and not get ahead of ourselves, we have to go out there, collect the seeds, and then an ISA is going to water the seeds, and then they're going to eventually produce something and in a closed transaction. So realistically, you might get a few that come in hot, or as you described them as whales, but 6, 9, 12 months before it starts to feel measurable, before you start to kind of track it and get excited about it. Is that accurate? And by the way, if you guys are out there and you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'm checking the chat as regularly as I can, so don't hesitate to put them up in the chat, and we'll get to them with Gus here. 6, 9, 12 months. What should my expectations be?
So that's a really good question, Jason. The expectation is the game. The expectation, for me, I run a company that helps agents implement this, right? Expectation is the name of the game. That is the question that I always answer with, it depends on the lead source. I'm an engineer. You're going to get a lot of it depends kind of, answers to these kind of questions.
Yeah.
If we're talking about true cold call prospecting, you gave the right time frame. 6, 9 to 12 months is where you're going to see the massive ROI of a farming activity, a cold farming activity that's essentially calling the phone book. 6 to 9 months is typical, I think, minimum to start seeing results from an activity like that. Contrast that to calling portal leads, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. I'm not advocating for or against those for people that are, that get religion around them. I'm just telling you the facts. Those leads can convert as high as 30-40% to appointment, to showing with the right systems in place. So you're going to get results from those kind of portals within 90 days. You're going to get income coming in pretty quickly on those kinds of lead sources. You can also get pretty good return on something like a Google lead or a Facebook lead if you have enough leads coming in. Again, think about it, 1% conversion rate. That is typical for people that know how to work these Facebook and these Google leads. Do the math. Some people are only buying 20, 30 leads a month. Do the math on that, right? Within 3 months, you get a shot at closing one deal. You get a shot at that.
Put you on the spot, Gus, because I know what people are thinking right now. What are the hot portals that are working well with your ISAs? Because I know dang on well you're tracking it. So
100%.
Okay,
100%.
so 100%. Tell me, get top 3, top 2. Give it to me.
So yeah. So I mean, I'm going to come out and say it because this is just the evidence supports this. The Zillows, the Trulias, and the Realtor.coms, they do convert well, and they're still right now some of the top converting properties out there. I'm just going to group them all together because I don't think it's worth kind of drawing straws. But 90% of what we call nowadays, Jason, 90% of the internet leads we call are Facebook-based internet leads. Facebook-based internet leads. 90%. It's 90% of the volume we handle. The reason for that is, I think the biggest reason is it's very accessible. It's a very low cost lead, right? People can actually generate 50, 100, 200, 500 leads a month with relatively a small budget compared to Zillow, compared to Trulia, compared to Realtor.com. So it's an attractive lead, even if it only converts at 1%, even if it's a low conversion rate. The cost.
Gus, give me a second. We lost your video and we lost your audio. There you are. You're back with us.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm running off my phone and I forgot to put do not disturb. Great, great job, Gus. Anyways, so we're back. So you want to make sure that you understand the conversion rate, right? Because let's say you've got the Zillow and Trulia, Realtor.com lead. Realtor.com in some markets is going to charge you a 35% referral fee. So calculate the cost per acquisition. Look at Facebook. Let's say it takes you 100 Facebook leads to get a solid buyer, right? Let's just talk about that. Those are the easiest to generate on Facebook. Let's say you're not that good. It takes 200 leads to generate a solid buyer on Facebook. Those are real numbers, by the way. That's a real, very realistic expectation. 1 out of 100, 1 out of 200, solid lead, signed with you, looking to, maybe your inventory constraint, but the lead is there. They're signing, they're working with you. That lead could have cost you $500, maybe $1,000 to generate, right? So look at that. A cost of acquisition of $1,000, maybe $500 to $1,000 for a deal. Would you pay $100 for a deal?
All day long.
Every single day of the week versus a 35% referral fee in my market, which is Seattle. It's my home market. Is $7,000 in Seattle. $7,500, right? Off the bat. So again, you're looking at comparing apples to oranges. That's why. So the long answer to your question, Jason. That's why we're calling 90%. Of Facebook leads. That's why I think the market is flocking.
What's exciting about that is your acquisition cost, which you touched on. And if I'm viewing this as a long-term game, which you also prepped me for in the beginning, it becomes compounding interest. So once you get it off the ground and running it properly, all these leads start to build up. So we talked about the seeds. You're just planting seeds, and then it's really coming through effectively. So now I'm starting to get the bigger picture of why, like, I could quickly see why somebody would say, okay, 1 ISA is not enough, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's what people are doing. So I thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the transparency on where 90% are coming from. So that's very eye-opening for me. So let's get into what we advertised it today would be. Tell me about how to hire. What am I doing? How am I hiring the right ISA? I don't know what I'm doing, so walk me through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the challenging part, right? This is folks, kind of, you can always struggle with adding folks into your team. It's a skill that you have to work on. It's not something, I have right now, I have a company that has 100 full-time employees. I started with 3 people, and it was hard for me to manage 3 people, right? Very, very challenging. It was not easy to do. And I grew into getting a bigger company. When you're talking about adding talent to your team, whether it's ISA is just one type of role you're going to add to your team. You're talking about generating candidates, getting a solid job description, understanding what you need, and putting out there, advertising it, putting out there to the world to make sure they get it and they know what you want, right? I think I lost you. You're back. I think I lost you there, Jason.
Yeah, we dipped out too. I don't know what's going on. We'll keep
going. Okay, no worries. Yeah, I can hear you good. I can hear you good. So you want to advertise that position, and you want to generate qualified candidates for that position. So how do you hire an ISA? Number one, you have to know how to generate enough qualified candidates for the position. And I always tell folks, rule of thumb, you have to have 5 to 10 qualified candidates that have the skills that you want to get 1 to 2 solid hires, right? 1 or 2 solid hires. Going to be rule of thumb, you got to talk to 5 to 10 qualified people to get 1 or 2 really good hires, right? And here's the other part of that equation. How many, you have a team, I have a team, this person looks great, this person sounds great, I want to get this person on my team. It just doesn't work out sometimes, right? It just, for a lot of really valid reasons. Once you kind of get into the custom of hiring and training and everything, you realize that, every time you get someone in through the door, it seems like they're going to do great. It doesn't depend on you, right? You're not able to just
depend on you.
Yeah. It does not depend on you. You can do as much as you want. You can be a welcoming workplace, a great training program, great onboarding, great boss, great everything, and the person cannot meet the bar, right? I think so many people, Jason, get stuck on that hiring piece. They are overthinking the interview process. They've got 8 interviews in there, right? They are recruiting for months and months and months, trying to find the perfect hire. As number one thing that I teach folks that coach with me and I teach, I'm telling them, let go of that, right? Take imperfect action. The best hire in the world is it's still out of your control whether they're going to make it out of those. Now, we tell folks it's 30 days. You get onto my team, you've got 30 days to prove that you have the right to stay with the team, right? Everything that I've seen shows that you've got the talent, the skills to do it. But here's the kicker, Jason. The interview process, the recruiting process is only really good, in my experience, only really good at telling you, does someone have the skill set and generally the cultural fit that you want in your company? It's really good at that. Do they have the skills? Can they talk on the phone? Do they sound good on the phone? And do they have the raw skills? What the interview and the recruiting process is not good at, it's probably terrible at, is determining the values, the work ethic, and the grit, key word there, right? The grit that someone needs to be successful when they're working on the phone. You cannot interview for that. You think you can, you might think you can. Trust me, I hire 30, 40 ISAs a month, right? And I know I have to hire 30, 40 a month because I need 10. That's why I hire so many, right? I'm going to hire 3 to 4 because I know they're not going to make it because they might not be sufficiently motivated, or they might be motivated, but they don't have the grit necessary to really make it happen on the phone.
And
so I think that's huge.
Know until you start working with them. Somebody, you and I could have a wonderful conversation and you say, Jason, I'm going to hire you. You don't know my internal drive. You have no idea. And I've learned that over the years myself. So
100%,
that's accurate. But
100%.
The right hire. So you may be going through some people and don't get deterred if you have to go through a few to get the right one. Matter of fact, it's probably likely.
I'd say plan for it, Jason. Plan for it. I always tell folks, I mean, yeah, I want to get a good ISA, Gus. Okay, great. Do you have the time, budget, and effort to hire 2 ISAs? Right? And you know, and I talk to my clients, how can you do that? Usually we can find a way to get creative and go, great, with the same budget that you'd hire. So the thing I want to avoid, Jason, is have teams and my clients go through this where they put all this time and effort into hiring, they bring one person in, they get 3 months into it, they realize they're not going to make it, they fire that person, they on to the next one. So it takes them 6, 7, 8, 9 months to find a good person. Most people don't have that patience. They're going to give up. They're going to go, this ISA thing's not for me. It's not going to work. I can't find a good person. That's what they're typically going to say, right? So I'd rather have them get creative, find a way to get 2 or 3 people in the role, at least 2, maybe hopefully 3, in there for 1 month. It's essentially the same amount of time you have to invest in onboarding them and training them if it's 1 than if it's 2. Let's be honest. Essentially the same, right? And you get to evaluate them faster. Your time is valuable. You don't have 9 months to find a great hire, right? I think that, you know, with PowerISA, we have, just because of the scale that we've had to find a way to accelerate this process, right? What are the red flags that we know when people should not be on a team, that they should not be on the phone? And some of these things, they can, I'm sure they can show up later, you know, in the process, but they should really be able to show up within the first week, within the first 30 days. You're going to see those red flags. You're going to see those things happening 100%.
So we got a couple questions rolling in here. So let me
go
check
for it.
On with this question here from Will. Do ISAs work only real estate leads, or can they work mortgage leads as well? Great question, Will. I think I know where you're going with that.
Yeah, we don't make a distinction. You know, for us, a buyer is a buyer, a seller is a seller. The fact that you're approaching it from a retail real estate or from a mortgage point of view, the qualification changes for sure. Mortgage lead, probably want to ask a few more questions, but it's essentially the same. They can call all those. We do campaigns for retail real estate, loan officers, mortgage brokers, real estate investors, folks looking for the motivated sellers. Those are the ones that we do at the highest level mainly, right? Buyers, sellers of retail real estate, and investors.
Very good, very good. Okay, so we've got some promos going on for PowerISA. You want to plug that now in case people want to connect?
Yeah,
we're not done talking, but let's put that out there.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I'm really excited about, you know, and one thing I want to talk about today is that we're releasing, you know, a course, right, that we can actually offer to the general public. Again, if folks want to go and do this, anyone can go out there, give it a try, figure it out on your own. How do you hire an ISA? How do you recruit them? One thing that we figured out, and we're do at the highest level, I think, in the whole country, is we're able to find, recruit, and train folks out of Mexico, out of Latin America, that are great on the phone. They sound, I mean, that's where I'm from originally, Mexico, that sound, you know, amazing on there. They can do the job at a really high level. And that if you're going to pay them $4, $5 an hour, that is an amazing offer for them. And they're going to want to work for you. That is a skill set. How to find those folks, how to recruit them, how to onboard them, how to train them, how to develop them to be great members of your team. That is a skill set that I think we're the best at across the whole country. And we've built a training around that. So for folks, because we offer this service, and so it's a different. So let me clarify that first. And I know there can be a lot of confusion. Gus, what are you talking about? We offer a service that's a done-for-you service where we have our ISAs in-house. I mean, they work for us. We've hired them. We've trained them. and they're in-house with us. They're our employees and they work for you. They're embedded virtually into your team. That's our typical classic model. We can, every single month, we can sell maybe 5 or 10 of those campaigns every single month. We're already sold out for May. So, don't ask for about May. We're already selling stuff for June and July, right? It's always tough to accommodate folks. But this training, Jason, this course, you can start this tomorrow, right? You can actually, and we teach you, we give you the ads that you need to run to get candidates. We give you the hiring funnel to put those people through, because you don't want to waste your time talking to 50 people that just aren't qualified. We tell you how to ramp them up on real estate, because you got a great caller on the phone. Maybe they have experience in telemarketing, they got experience in cold calling, but they've never done real estate before. That's very typical you're going to find in these areas. So we teach folks how to ramp them up in real estate quickly. Great. Set up on their dialers.
We lost you again, Gus. Hang tight 1 second. There we are. You're back.
There we are, man. Sorry.
So
yeah.
wait,
So
let me catch something. I want to catch something. So if I wanted you, the traditional program, I can't even get you to hire somebody for me until June or July. You're so backed up, you can't get any people. So what I'm hearing is that you're running the quarterback option. If somebody needs it and wants to figure out your process, you're going to give that to them through the course.
100%, 100%. And that's something we launched it in pilot back in February. We give people an 1-year access to the course. It includes 6 weeks of coaching calls with me. So you get to talk to me. I have a 100-person ISA team. Probably has something that I can give you that's valuable. Whether I actually had people join the course, Jason, out of LCA actually, that had 4-person ISA teams, and then you wanted to jump in just to take their existing team to the next level. Love that. But a lot of folks hiring their ISAs, right? Bringing them in to help increase their leverage, right? Into their existing systems. So a lot of folks jumping in. It's 6 weeks of coaching with me, right? To help you through that hiring, through that selection, that training process, and looking at their numbers, listening to calls, getting your ISAs up to speed, right? So really, really, really awesome offering. We launched the pilot back in February. There's a lot of folks at LCA that joined it actually. A lot of folks from the industry, great reviews about it, right? And we're making it better. Right? Every time someone joins and gives us some feedback, we make that course even better. But it covers everything around their hiring, around the onboarding, how much to pay folks, how much to bring them in, how to set up their bonuses. That's a really frequent question. Like, how should I bonus my ISA? That is one, you can really mess that up. The same way you can mess up an agent bonus, like an agent on your team. If you're not careful with that, you can mess up your ISA. You can make it unprofitable, right? You can make it not make a lot of sense. And if you and you're like with a real estate agent, if you're always tweaking their bonus structure every other day, they're not going to be happy with that. So same thing with an ISA. So we help folks and we tell them this is what worked for us. This is how we've built a team of 100 people following this proven system, this proven process to get people, talented people in the chair with a great offer, motivated, that are going to get the job done. Oh
man, I love that. That's exciting. I think I'm too lazy for that. I'm going to wait till June or July, and I'm going to get you guys.
That's great. That's great. And people need to understand that, right? If you don't have the time and effort to put into this, like the time and the effort to learn on your own, don't do that, right? By all means, I'm like, hey, we'll handle it.
But it's also
right?
very eye-opening to me because I'm reading between the lines here. The demand is high. Like it's very, very high, and you can't even keep up with. I mean, you are doing a great job with it. You can't keep up with the incoming request, which is telling me it's working. Because if it's not, then you're not as busy as you are. What did I miss that you feel like we should have covered here?
So, I think, about the course itself, there's that. I mean, I covered the major points: the hiring, the training, the management process, building a team culture. You get access to our scripts, whether that's a cold calling script, a Facebook inbound lead script. And we focus on the most important parts of the process, right? Because anyone can just, recite a Facebook buyer script. It's very simple, actually. What the skill and the training that needs to go into it is, how do you convert that lead into an appointment? How do you convert that lead into a live transfer? That's where you need the practice. That's where the skill set comes in. We go really deep into those things. Text messaging. Even in our company, half of our appointments can come from text messaging on some campaigns. So the ISA isn't just on the phone. They wanna have not just speed to lead, but speed to response to these text messages. You got to be engaging with folks. Text messages come in all day, any day. And people know this. They do a lot of online lead gen follow-up. Text messages can just bombard you. They can not reply for 3 days and then suddenly 3 texts in a single day. You got to be available. You got to be willing and able to follow up with those leads. There's a lot of folks trying to get them from you, and you're not the only agent they're talking to. You've got to have a team helping you keep track, follow up, and make it happen. You get the scripts that we use, that we train our ISAs on, to use as a template for their SMS, right? Again, you want to make those responses personalized and relevant. The scripts just help them get that response even better, right? So all of those things, and on top of that, Jason, on top of that, like that's just the ISA portion of the course, right? That's one. The second thing you get, and we just launched this week, you get access to a full-on Facebook ads for real estate course. Facebook, if you know nothing about Facebook ads for real estate, and you want to add that to your ISA's business and their system, right? Or if you're getting your lead some other way and you want to try something, you want to try it on your own and you've never known how to, we have a course designed for real estate agents. So, quote unquote, it's not that hard. It's easy. You can actually follow it. And this was made by professional. I'm not a Facebook ads guru. This was made by a Facebook ads guru, a marketer, created this course. I think it's really awesome. It's very powerful and it's very easy to get up and running to generate some of these leads on your own. And I think it's a great way to give it a try. I always tell folks, you got to try it anyway. You should try it on your own, figure out what you can do with Facebook. Before you bring in the pros, try it on your own. So now we're giving people the chance. Included, just this course would cost people $1,000, $1,500.
Yeah.
Just the course on Facebook ad for real estate, right? And we go into detail on different types of ads and long form ads and long form leads, all this fun stuff about Facebook, all of that's included. And in addition to that, this is not just a course for the rainmaker, for the agent, right? We have within that a third course included for your ISA. This is a course that is just for them. They log in, they can see every single script explained in detail, the objections explained in detail, recordings, sample recordings, so they can listen to what people sound like when they are executing that script at the highest level. That is unbelievably important, right? So going through this process of learning how to hire them yourself, learning how to train them on your own, using all of these tools that we give you, that's how you can get a great ISA for $4 an hour. That's the only way we found, the only sustainable, well-done process to actually get someone on your team performing at a super high level for only $4 an hour. That is the way to do it. Taking this course and learning how to do it on your own.
Wow, I love it. So there's the answer to the $4 an hour. There's the big question. LaTanya Martin had a question about where do I find the ISA? You take the course, LaTanya, or you get in line like me. I'm going to wait until July, and Gus is going to help me with it. So
absolutely,
one
absolutely.
Of those two,
we have that option too.
I don't recommend trying to do it on your own. Get the baseline, get the knowledge. So Gus Castro, man, it was a treat. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed it, my friend. I learned quite a bit here. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, and PowerISA, everybody. Give them a check in. We appreciate having you on.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate it.